Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell here. The new year is upon us, and even under the best of circumstances, the creative process can cover some pretty rocky terrain, and our spidey senses tell us 2025 may bring even more challenging conditions. Now more than ever, we believe everyone is creative, but smart creatives don't go it alone. That's why we hope you'll join us and other awesome creatives on January 1st for the SparkFile 2025 New Year Creativity Kickoff. At this one-day virtual retreat, you'll clarify what you want to create and how you want to get there. You'll meet other makers, you'll strengthen your creative resolve, and you'll leave with an action plan for making your creative dreams a reality. It's all happening on January 1st. Visit thesparkfile.com to register for the SparkFile 2025 New Year Creativity Kickoff and to take advantage of early registration incentives like lower pricing. Y'all, in 2025, let's link arms, fear less, and create more. We'll see you there.
The SparkFile podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Welcome to the Spark File, where we believe that everyone is creative, but smart creative people don't go it alone.
Hey, I'm Laura Camion.
And I am Susan Blackwell, and we are creativity coaches who help people clarify and accomplish their creative goals.
Know that just by listening to this podcast, you're joining a warm and wonderful clan of creatives.
But you also may be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File?
Well, a Spark File is a place where you consistently collect all of your inspirations and fascinations. Every episode, we're going to reach into our Spark Files and exchange some sparks. And from time to time, we're going to talk to some folks who spark us too.
And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take some of those sparks of inspiration and make something of your own. So without further ado, let's open up
The Spark
File.
File.
You know what I just remembered, Laura Camion?
What did you just remember?
We have a podcast.
What gave it away? The intro?
Laura, that is crazy. We have a podcast. We're in our 5th season of
For
this podcast.
5 years, we've had this podcast. That is correct. And I'm really proud of us. I just weirdly went back through today and I saw an email that we sent before season 5 launched. And I was like, oh yeah, we spelled it out for everybody. We did not intend for that long gap between season 4 and season 5.
Oopsie poopsies.
Oopsie poopsies. But we named all of the things. Here's what happened. You know, we took on a bigger load than we could handle, frankly, and we needed to, play some other things out before we could get back to this. And we named a couple other factors, but then the big one was we had so many improvements we wanted to make. That list in our mind grew so big that we kind of got paralysis. It's like, we need to add it to YouTube. We should make the episode shorter. We should do video. We need to fix our website page. Like, just all of those things became an enormous beast in our minds.
But we did
and
it.
We had to slay that beast. And we did. And here we are with season 5.
A great team of people.
That's right. And we named them in that email as well. And I'm so glad we did. We're like, we have Corey, we have James, we have Tim, we have Juliet. Yeah. And we have a new friend named AI.
What?
Yes, to help with those transcripts. Yeah. We got a whole team.
Yeah, it's great. I'm happy that we're doing it, and I'm amazed that I've been doing anything consistently, except for that little break for this long. Good for us.
Good for us. I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a spark for me today?
I've got a spark for you, Suze. I've got a spark for you. And I'm having a self-consciousness and a little bit of fear that I just want to name at the top. I'm going to talk about some like big things, and I want to make sure that I'm not taking any of these things lightly, and I don't mean to be trite about them. And near the end, I will talk about like the more extreme versions of these things and
All right.
thoughts on that. Okay.
Okay.
So I just want to say that I'm not taking this lightly, but I have been thinking about it a lot.
Okay.
We've been talking to a lot of our clients recently about the really big feelings that we've all been having, alternating between rage and anger, betrayal, sometimes the paralyzing feelings of like sadness or numbness or anxiety or denial. Like people are experiencing a lot of feelings in this moment. And in these conversations, we have offered up a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas. And some of them we've even talked about on the podcast. But one of the things that I've been saying, which I really believe in, but I do think needs more context than what I've given it so far. And that is my suggestion that we go all the way there.
Yeah.
And you've heard me say that.
I have.
Go all the way there, whatever the, emotion is. And what I mean by that is to feel the full extent of the feeling and let it move all the way through you.
To be present to it.
And we've talked about this long ago on the podcast. Emotions, as long as they stay in motion, can't harm you. They are clouds rolling by. If we let them simply flow all the way through us and out the other side, we're fine. But if they lodge somewhere within us, or if we trap them, put them in a little room in our mind and close that door because we're afraid of them, or because they're too big, they actually can hurt us.
Yeah.
And that can be in a variety of ways. But one, if we don't let them move through us, we never really move on from them because we haven't allowed ourselves to feel them and process them. And number two, if they stick around long enough, they can potentially cause disease. And so I've been reflecting on these conversations, and there's something that I think I've failed to say. So I just want to dig into it a little more deeply today.
Awesome.
So when I say go all the way there, I think that there can be a fear that this means give in to the feeling completely. And there may be a worry that that would mean like, oh no, if I give into this sadness, it will send me into depression and I'll never get out of bed again.
Yep.
Or if I indulge this anger, I actually will kick someone in the face. And that's not what I mean. That's not what we're going for here.
That's not your version of going all the way there, kicking someone right in the face.
It's not. But indulging the anger in a healthy way is definitely part of going all the way there.
Yeah.
So I'm suggesting go all the way there, meaning feel all those feelings, make conscious decisions to let them move through you. And I want to offer some ways to do this. First, I will remind you that I'm not a therapist. Okay. And if you're getting your therapy advice from this podcast, I think you could do worse, but I just want to say you could call a therapist. Yes. But I'm just a highly sensitive, empathetic human being who has learned how to cope with really big feelings.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to share a little process that I use to go all the way there and let a feeling move all the way through me. So first of all, I identify the feeling. So identify the feeling that's happening in your body. Name it, accept it. And here's where it gets weird. And it's going to get weirder, but it starts here. Talk to it if you like. Simon and Garfunkel did it. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Or the Chicks, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. to saying, "Hello, Mr. Heartache. I've been expecting you. Come in and wear your welcome out the way you always do." It might feel silly, but it's really powerful to recognize the emotion and speak right to it. We're so accustomed and trained to like fight it off, ignore it, deny it entry, all of the above. And we've all heard that saying, what we resist persists. That's what this is all about. If you resist that emotion, it's just hanging in there and it's going to keep knocking. So, this tactic is like saying, "Hey, I see that you're here. I'm willing to listen to what you have to say, and then you'll be on your way." It's like facing a hard conversation that we don't want to have, but this one is with ourselves. So, breathe into it and say, "Okay, here we go."
I have observed you. You have recounted to me, Laura. Like, Laura is not just saying, here's something handy, here's a life hack I've heard about. You will call it out and recount it where you're like, I'm like, how are you? How was your evening? And you'll be like, yeah, I noticed. I think around the stress of the recent Illume showcase,
Uh-huh.
where you were like, yeah, I noticed that I was starting to feel a certain way. And I said, "Oh, I know you.
Uh-huh.
I recognize you. Like
Oh, hi.
you're not fucking around. You actually do this."
I really do it.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, like, I am a highly sensitive person who was, in my younger years, criticized for all of my feelings. The suppression of my feelings was very important in terms of getting by in our household.
Mm.
So decades of, first of all, not being able to identify my own feelings because
Mhm.
I had been so removed from them, and the training of putting a smile on my face and everything is fine and we're happy and
Mm.
we're positive.
Mhm.
And I really do identify myself as a very positive person, and I still feel that way even though now I allow all the other, rainbow of feelings to course through
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
All right, so number 1, we're going to identify it and maybe even talk to it.
Sure.
Okay. Number 2, if you can, we're going to clear some time in our schedule to make space for the emotion. I know it's not always possible, but if you can, and that might be like, I'm going to stay in bed another hour and just, feel this way, or today I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to let myself feel this way. But the important thing here is when you clear some time in your schedule to make space for the emotion, release all guilt about doing it.
Mm.
So you're not going to double down on guilt of like, I canceled my
Mhm.
plans with my friends. Now I feel
And I
even
feel shitty
worse.
about it.
Now
Yep.
I feel shitty about something else. So we release all guilt. We make some space. If you're able to give yourself some time to feel these feelings, you will be all the better for it. It's not always possible. Those are the times we have to suck it up, buttercup, and stay focused. Like we have a meeting or we have to fulfill an obligation. That's fine. But it is especially helpful to know that tonight I've cleared my schedule to simply feel sad if I need to. Just give it some room. And that might mean I'm going to allow myself to get a slow start to my day for the whole next week. Or I'm canceling social plans in the evening this week. I'm just making space and
Mm.
not giving myself guilt about it. Number 3, I like to warn the people around me. Truly. Like if I have to be with other people
Yeah.
for meetings or
Yeah.
otherwise, I
Yeah.
might say, today is a day that I would have sequestered myself if I could. No one needs to be around this, and I want to recognize that.
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
Yes.
You have received warnings
Yep.
where I'm just like, I'm recognizing it. If I'd had a choice about this, I would have kept myself to myself today and not shared this with anyone. But here we are, and we're moving forward. Or if it's just me and Wes, I might give him a warning like, I'm really sad today. I'm going to let myself be sad. I just want you to know it isn't anything to do with you, and you don't need to fix anything. I just need to be sad. And I might say, I'm going to treat myself with extra care today. That's it. It's very specifically about not punishing others for the feeling that you're having. It's not their fault. You're just feeling a feeling. That's all. You're not pointing it at them, and you're not asking them to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which leads to number 4. If you've ever spent time with a toddler, it is so easy to watch the emotions flow through this little being, crying and screaming one moment, laughing the next, sleeping, crying again. There isn't any, I shouldn't be feeling this way. They don't have a concept of that until they are taught that they shouldn't be feeling this way and they need to suppress it. So I will connect with that little toddler in me and just see what it needs. Literally ask yourself, do we need to cry? Okay. We'll get some music that makes us cry. Susan gave some great
We've got a playlist.
We've got a playlist.
The sparkfile.com/playlist.
The I Need to Cry playlist. Or go to movies or stories that make me cry and just truly cry. Open up the floodgates. Let it rip. A little more complex. Do we need to punch someone? Okay. How can we move that energy without really punching someone? We can go to the gym, hit a punching bag in the literal sense, or we can scream into our pillow. We can go for a run, a walk, anything that exerts physical energy. So again, I'm saying go all the way there. And that doesn't mean stop
Kicking
living your
somebody in the face.
life. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Stop living your life.
Stop living your life and go all the way like under the covers, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
No, you're going all the way there, and you're giving yourself the opportunity to let that emotion move.
Yes. I've heard somebody say, just don't rent an apartment there.
That's
like
right.
You don't have to like set up house in,
Correct.
you know,
you're not going to move there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you're just visiting.
Well, what I think of is like, this is my house, and that emotion is visiting.
Through. Yeah,
they're not moving in.
Yeah.
So we've named them, declared them, owned them. We've given fair warning to anyone who needs it. If we're able to make dedicated time for them, great. We're giving them room. And then we're going to dive head on into the feeling. So, like I said, we're doing this while living our lives. How do we do that while we are sad or angry or anxious? And here is where I admit it gets weirder. In my system, having warned anyone that needs warning, I then go about my life 100% in the feeling, meaning I'm not spending any energy trying to mask or hide or change the feeling. I'm going all the way there. And I often narrate in my head as I go. So it might sound like this. I'm so angry. I'm going to the store to get groceries. I'm going to get good, nutritious food, but I'm angry about it. Or I'm sad and I'm brushing my teeth, but I'm going to be sad about it. Look at that. Looking in the mirror, I'm a sad person brushing her teeth. That's what that looks like. I'm despondent and I'm going for a walk. This is what it looks like for a despondent person to go for a walk. This is it. Here it is. I'm doing it. And sometimes when the feeling that I'm feeling is small enough, meaning like I'm
manageable?
not talking about life or enormous loss, right?
Yeah.
Just saying these things like, I'm sad. I'm so sad. I'm brushing my teeth in a very sad, sad way. It is enough to make me start to laugh.
Yeah.
It feels so pitiful and I start to giggle and it helps me move through it faster. I just sometimes am like, great having truly recognized it and said, it's fine that you're here. And I will very quickly forget that that is the emotion that I was having.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've planned to be sad for a whole day, start to finish. I've changed my schedule, given it room, got under the covers, prepared to watch sad movies all day, being so completely all the way in. And sometimes like it can just be like an hour later, like I'm up. Either I've started to find it all really comical or I've gotten bored with feeling sad and I'm done with it. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I know that some of the big feelings that we're feeling right now, especially fear and anxiety about the future, I don't expect that a few giggles are going to shake those off. I actually expect that those are going to keep coming at us in waves, right? I don't want to take those lightly, but we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Before I do that, step 5, you know how I said I often narrate my emotional release. Step 5 is give it a voice. Give it a voice.
So you talk to it and then it talks back to you.
It can, yeah. It can talk. And by that, I mean...
Is it French?
Sometimes. But what I mean by give it a voice is give it a creative outlet. Now, I journal and I write. And so let it get it out on the page.
Yeah.
I've written scenes and plays that have come directly from painful experiences.
Yes. Typing and crying.
And crying. Or more accurately, from the way in which my emotion interpreted that experience. That's fine. It has a voice. Let it out. The songs, write it into a song, bake it into a cake, whatever you need. And please, for the love of God, let it be messy. Like, let it be a hot mess, however that emotion wants to express itself. I just had the image of like making mud pies when I was younger, and yes, sometimes you make a tidy, clean little mud pie, and sometimes like you throw that mud around. So let things be messy if they need to be. There's the writing from a Hemiora, which we often share. You gotta resurrect the deep pain within you and give it a place to live that's not within your body. Let it live in art. Let it live in writing. Let it live in music. Let it be devoured by building brighter connections. Your body is not a coffin for pain to be buried in. Put it somewhere else.
Yes. I love that passage so much and have gone to Ahimiora, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, to that website.
Yes.
And
Yes. I mean,
all
at the Spark
flowers.
File, we believe in this wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by give it a voice. Put it somewhere else. Let it move up and out of you. And we were having this great conversation with our clients. And I think it was Sue Kayampa who brought up this idea. We're often told not to create from a wound.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really interesting. I have a different take on that. I think we should create from a wound whenever we can. It will help us heal. What I would refrain from doing is sharing our work from that place. This is not the place where we share. This is where we let it come up and out. We put it all down. We write it, paint it, sing it, collage it, embroider it, whatever you choose to do. We put it down messy. And when we get to the other side of it, we edit, we refine, we shape it into the work of art that it was meant to be. And if it arrives at that place, then we share it with the world.
So what Sue is referring to is this Glennon Doyle, and I'm going to get this quote wrong, but we want to write from scars, not from wounds. But I love that. I was privy to the conversation you were having with Sue about that. And I was like, we might want to write or create from scars, but the wound stage is a great place to take good notes if you have the wherewithal.
Yeah, that's what I mean by give it a voice. Like let that, from from my, let's say, messy writing that's coming straight from an ugly emotion, perhaps, maybe there's pages of it. One sentence may be all that is needed in a play, in a scene in a play, like where you got to the very heart of it. And you know how you sometimes when you're watching a play, there's one sentence that catches everybody's breath
Mm-hmm.
because you just can't believe those words were said out loud.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably somewhere in the writings that comes straight from the voice of your emotion.
Yeah.
And if you don't write from that, you don't get to that place. But again, I would never, my God, somewhere in my will, by the way, you, my sister, or Wes will be responsible for getting rid of like my morning pages and these pages of just like writing that is just like, ew, yuck.
Yeah.
That doesn't like represent all of me. It's just one emotion that's passing through me in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think there's good stuff in there, but it's more important, I think, to use it as a vehicle to let the emotion move through you and worry later about whether it's a work of art that was meant to be shared with the world. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I notice that we also, as creatives and artists, like when we want to get to work, which a lot of us do right now, we'll put this pressure on us to quickly be able to get back to creating.
Mm-hmm.
And it better be something good and meaningful and important and helpful. I'm like, wow, we're in the midst of a lot of big feelings, and that's a lot of pressure to put on ourselves when really, what if we just let these feelings move through us first?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I want to circle back to what about the big feelings we're into now? These feelings are legit, and I do believe in going all the way there if you can. I think this practice allows the feelings to move through you, but all of this should be done with a deadline. I think that would be step 6. Put a deadline on indulging the feelings. 1 week, 2 weeks at most. At that point, you have to say, all right, now, I let you come and stay. I fed you. I cared for you, but you can't move in here. You can't stay forever. Like the poem that we often share by Ijeoma Umebinyao, you must let the pain visit. You must allow it to teach you. You must not allow it to overstay.
Yeah.
This is the key. And listen, this is where we get to like heartbreak, loss, grief. Not all of that can be healed on a deadline. I
Yeah.
don't think that's realistic.
Yeah.
Those feelings will come to visit, and they will come time and time again. Like we have whole podcasts on grief, and I do not believe grief is something that you feel and then can check it off like, great, I grieved.
I
I'm
did it.
done.
Yeah.
But if you imagine them as short visits from familiar friends who stay over for a night or two here or there, or maybe you just grab a coffee with them, they're going to remain in your life. And at that point, it becomes about simply allowing the feelings when they visit and moving on.
Mm.
Now, with the moral distress that many of us are feeling and are likely to feel through the next administration, for example, it becomes about regulating our nervous system and using the tools we have to not allow every article we read or every social post we come across to activate the full force of our anger or our sadness or our dread. We know that the chaos leads to exhaustion and it leads to burnout. We're going to lean into our meditation, our EFT tapping, going for walks, being in nature. So all of that has its own plan associated with it. But the cool thing is knowing that we can feel our emotions. We can do all of these things. even if we're mad about it.
Mm. Well, I think it's going to be really useful for the next, foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know, and I don't want to make any promises, dear listeners, but I think I might do a spark about our nervous system, the vagus nerve, all that stuff,
Yes.
because we will have to have a plan. But I do think for this works for me to just try to let it, again, just let these emotions visit, move through, and say goodbye. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like I don't think I'll ever see you again, but how quickly can we get past this?
You know, Laura, as you're sharing this, I'm thinking about the episode that we did recently. It was My Spark about comfort, catharsis,
Yeah.
and change,
Yeah.
and how in that Rebecca Solnit
Yep.
quote, she talks about it's time to gather up your tools, get ready. And I think tools like this are one of the things
Yeah.
that we need to be gathering right now. And really, not just like, not passively, but really practicing it. Because if we do, I think that it could have a very positive impact on our nervous systems and sustain us through this time
Yeah.
in an actual, real, workable, usable way. And if we don't, the alternative, I just feel like, when somebody becomes a president and then their hair turns white over the 4 years, I just feel like,
all of our hair is going to turn white.
well, we just need all of our tools and we
Yeah.
actually need to practice them.
We do. And it starts with, and I'm in this practice now, as soon as I feel like something not right, I will ask myself, like, what can I do? Okay, I could tap. I could
Mm,
go for a walk. Like, what tools do I have in
yeah.
my arsenal right now? What amount of time do I have? What's available to me in this
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate this so much. And I've watched you in practice. You're really good at this. I could take a page out of your book or take a
It
shot of whatever you're having. Because I can't always remember it when I'm up in my feels.
I know, but it is, to me, I'm like, it makes me laugh so much sometimes because, like, I will see myself like in the midst of a montage, a Bridget Jones's diary or something. And that is why I'm like, oh, we can skip to, like, it has moved through. It's fine. It's had its
Yeah.
time. And,
Yeah.
but I feel conversely, if I don't make space for it, if I don't acknowledge it, and part of that is, EFT tapping does that as well, which is like you want to go straight to the emotion and give it, not try to ignore it, not try to say, I feel a little bit bad, but it's okay.
Yeah. Just go
You want to
into
go
it
all the way in there. I feel,
all the way there.
really pissed. Go all the way there and give it a voice, listen to it, feed it, care for it, and then send it on its way.
Mm. Thank you for
Boom.
this. Thank you for this spark, Laura Camion.
My pleasure.
Go all the way there.
Go all the way there, friends.
Print it on a t-shirt. There's our new merch.
Hey, I like
Not
that.
a bad idea. All right. That's it. This episode of the Spark File was made on the lands of the Lenape and Mohican people. And as always, we hope it put another bunch of sparks in your file. Hey, listen, if there's a spark that you'd like us to explore, or if you'd like to learn more about how to coach with us to accomplish your creative goals, you can email getcreative@thesparkfile.com, or you can always reach us through our website, thesparkfile.com.
Hey, we'll even happily take your feedback. But you know the price of admission. First, you got to share a creative risk that you have taken recently.
You can follow us on social at The Spark File and be sure to subscribe, rate, and 5-star review this podcast. It really helps other listeners to find us. Also, if you like this podcast, we hope you'll share it with people that you love. We always love to see that. If you didn't like it, go all the way there. Go all the way there with your feelings.
Go all the
really.
way there. Give it a voice. Listen to it.
But don't email us.
No.
Go all the way there in your own space.
On the other hand, if something lights you up and gets your creative sparks flying, we're writing you a forever permission slip to make that thing that's been knocking at your door. It's your turn to take that spark and fan it into a flame.
You know, you got to take it
and
make
it.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell here. The new year is upon us, and even under the best of circumstances, the creative process can cover some pretty rocky terrain, and our spidey senses tell us 2025 may bring even more challenging conditions. Now more than ever, we believe everyone is creative, but smart creatives don't go it alone. That's why we hope you'll join us and other awesome creatives on January 1st for the SparkFile 2025 New Year Creativity Kickoff. At this one-day virtual retreat, you'll clarify what you want to create and how you want to get there. You'll meet other makers, you'll strengthen your creative resolve, and you'll leave with an action plan for making your creative dreams a reality. It's all happening on January 1st. Visit thesparkfile.com to register for the SparkFile 2025 New Year Creativity Kickoff and to take advantage of early registration incentives like lower pricing. Y'all, in 2025, let's link arms, fear less, and create more. We'll see you there.